Cattle Association. And I would simply, again, point out that these folks and all the rest of the family who you will be meeting here shortly in virtual form were the master breeder of the American Jersey Cattle Association in 2012. So please give them a round of applause.
Guess you can sit. Yeah, we can sit. Well, thank you, and welcome to Dutch Hollow. Sherry didn't mention that even though I'm the senior patriarch of the operation, I actually represent a third-generation Jersey breeder, so we've got 5 generations of the Chittenden family that have bred Jerseys for years. We branched out from my family's farm in 1976. I had 2 young boys who played farm in the sandbox from the time they were old enough to push toys around in the sand, and I knew where they wanted to be, and I happened to have 2 younger brothers that were on the home farm as well, and we just decided that if there was going to be room to grow our operation, that maybe we needed to find a spot of our own. So in 1976, we left my family farm, Fairweather Farm, with 55 cows. We purchased a farm of 165 acres, 90 of it tillable. We blew our budget all to pieces by the end of the first year because we were going to farm with 55 cows, and at the end of the first year we were milking 80 because we had an opportunity to buy some pretty good cattle, and we took advantage of that. So we have always been just a little more progressive than sometimes our budgets allowed. As we have grown, we expanded out of our original facilities, and you'll note he says if you're watching the screen here, this is information that hangs on the wall in our education center that Beth will be talking to you about later. In 1995, we built a brand new facility with a 300 cow freestall barn and a new milking parlor, and now we've outgrown that and added another 200 cow barn and calf barns and dry cow barns, so you'll get a chance to tour those facilities as we go through. I don't know whether there's a whole lot more I can discuss much about our introduction. I think, Sherry, we can just go ahead and move along. Oh, okay, we need to get to the family picture, and this is the test because grandfathers sometimes, we can usually remember the names of our kids, but I can't remember their birthdays. We'll You'll spot here, come along here. There are 5, of course, members of the family. We formed an LLC when the 3rd son came back to the farm. So we are a limited liability corporation, and as I say, that's corporate farming. As we tell our friends that come visit the farm, we're a corporate farm, but like 98% of the farms in the country, we're family owned. There's 9 full-time employees. One of the neat things about our operation that we take a lot of pride in is that we have an employee that's been with us 11 years now. His father has come to work for us, and now his 14-year-old sons work for us. So we have 3 generations even in our employees. This is the family picture taken before our Master Breeder Award a year ago, and I'll start on the left across the front row. Melanie on the left, better known as Mom or Grandma. Alan and his wife Donna, grandson Zachary, and he would be Nathan and Jill's son, the old guy in the middle, and then we have Beth and Brian, and behind Brian is Jill and Nathan with their daughter Anna, and then I'll work back across the young lady. All right, we'll start with Cassie. Sherry's got the light on Cassie, so we're going to start with Cassie, and then we have Jonathan, who would be Nathan and Jill's son, and behind Jonathan is Emily, who would be Alan and Donna's oldest daughter, and she is a freshman at Cornell this year in animal science. The next young fellow is Maxwell. He's Brian's right-hand man. He's Alan's son, but he was born with a tractor in his hand, so that's where he spends most of his time, was behind a steering wheel. He does show a cow once in a while, but he'd do a whole lot better if we could motorize the cow. The next young lady is Lydia. That would be Alan and Donna's daughter. And then Megan, who is Brian and Beth's daughter, and she's a freshman at State University Cobleskill, also in animal science. So our 3 oldest grandchildren are now in college, all of them with directing their talents towards animal science. So we're excited about the 3rd generation coming back to the farm. Now, grand tour.
I don't think I need that.
You don't need that?
I got one of these fancy things.
You're equipped.
Okay, Sherry came and visited us when we were having our open house this summer and took a lot of this picture and video. This is the dry cow barn, and it's a 3-row barn. There's 51 free stalls in there. It's not big enough anymore. We've outgrown it. Further off cows stay in the free stalls. When they get closer, they'll move on the far end of the barn here. You can see a bedded pack, bedded with sawdust and straw. We clean it as needed, usually every 5 to 7 days. I try to keep everything within 2 weeks from calving in there. They've got a separate ration. When we see cows that are close to calving, we try to stick them over and back. We've got individual stalls in back, so we try to have them calve in those individual stalls. Get colostrum into those calves as quickly as possible, usually within the first hour. We're running almost 24 hours a day, so somebody's always right there. The nice thing about that building is that it's right in the traffic area, so somebody's always walking by. We always see what's going on, so very few are born without us seeing them. Now we're into the calf barn. I think this is going way too fast here. Cassie?
So our calf barn is all individual pens for all of our calves. We feed calves 3 times a day, and they will drink 1.5 quarts of milk at each feeding. We feed a high-performance milk replacer, the Jersey blend, so they grow pretty well. We had a picture up here earlier that was of our calf right after she'd been born. As soon as our calves hit the ground, we check to see whether they are horned or polled, because a lot of our animals you will find do have the polled factor. At that time, we will then shave the sides of their heads where they have the horns and use paste to dehorn them. It takes less than 6 hours for the paste to dry, and they're good to go. So we do that within the first 24 hours as well. And right now, we actually are trying out an automatic calf feeder and switching to a little bit from the individual stalls into trying out some group housing type things. So.
It's partly because some of our calf feeders went off to college, so we're trying to save labor.
Yeah, I don't have a job anymore.
Okay, we're running back through this, recycling back through again. The dry cow barn here, we mattresses. We bed with mattresses. We have mattresses in the stalls. Bed with sawdust about twice a week, or as needed, or as our time permits. Like I said, again, the barn's not big enough anymore, so there's surplus dry cows that get kicked out here, there, and everywhere. But we try to keep the close-up ones right here close. Clean the barn once a day, every day, and there's rubber mat up by the feed bunk, and the back alley does not have rubber mat. Like I say, we're around there basically 24 hours a day, so there aren't very many calves get born without us seeing it. And then this is the outside of the calf barn. There's the Jersey blend milk replacer that Cassie mentioned. We like the higher fat for the Jerseys, especially in the wintertime. They seem to do much better than we also use calf coats when it's cold, calf blankets for all the calves. There's a picture of, you can see the paste on the horn bud there. You can put it on. We actually just started doing that this spring. It's working really well. You can put it on as quickly as you can get it there. It's best when the calves are young like that, because they're not very mobile. They're not moving around. They're very stationary. It doesn't bother them at all. You can wipe it back off half a day later, and it's done its job. It's working really well for us. We're ready.
So this is our currently our newest barn that we moved into in January of 2012. It is a calf transition barn, so we wean at 2 months old, and as soon as we have space, we move them into this bedded pack facility. We have 8 calves per pen. We feed them, we start out with a grain and then gradually add hay and TMR, so this is the older end of the barn. They'll stay in this barn until they're about 5 or 6 months old, depending on how many calves we have born in that time frame that we need to keep moving through. So this is the older end of the barn, and you look down through, and they gradually get younger as we get to the other end.
This is this is the newer of the, actually this is the newer of the 2 cow barns. As you said, we built one in '94 that allowed us to go to 300 cows, and then we built another one 4 or 5 years ago. We added another 200 cows. So we're at 650 milk cows altogether now. All barns, we do not use sand. All barns have mattresses and sawdust. The manure guy doesn't like all the sand in the gutters, and we just haven't been set up to handle it. Our history ever since we started has been trying to get the most out of our money and without going to see the bankers too much. And so we kind of build a barn every few years to handle our growth and sell the surplus in between. Keep the fans running, does a good job of moving the air through the barns. We milk 3 times a day, clean the alleys. The new barn does not have alley scrapers, so we scrape that with a tire scraper 3 times a day when the cows are out. The other barn does have hydraulic alley scrapers in it that they run through probably 9 times a day. They take about 2 to 2.5 hours to cycle through. Evening picture here. We feed once a day. 1 TMR in the morning, feed once a day, and then just keep pushing it up all day long. Usually probably half a dozen times a day. And we're moving down into Brian's area here. You can see this third barn right there. We do have a small bedded pack on the end of that barn that can take ideally 10 cows. Usually there's 15 or 16 in there. Everything stays in free stalls. Everything stays on concrete in confinement. We have a heavy clay soil. It gets mudded up pretty quickly, so we really don't have cows outside very much. Everything's staying inside on concrete. Yeah, curtains on all the buildings. Okay, here's Brian's part of the deal.
Okay, so, this is mainly the Dairy Expo, and you're going to talk about cows, but they kind of threw me a bone, so I guess we could talk about feed. So we farm approximately 2,000 acres, crop acres. The bulk of that is rented. We are in the process of purchasing some of the rented land. Corn silage is grown, 350 acres harvested for silage, 900 acres total of corn. The rest we harvest as high moisture corn. Grow about 200 acres of soybeans, 500 acres of alfalfa, which is primarily silage for the dairy, and then there's the balance of that. We have about 450 acres of grass hay. And when we started at 300 cows, I started accumulating land as producers went out, and we were selling hay. And since our cow numbers have grown, we've converted that into roughage and feed for our own animals. So our own soybeans we harvest, and we take them to a fella down the road about 20 miles. We roast them and bring them back, so we feed our own soybean, we feed our own high moisture corn, meeting most of our energy needs. So it allows us, for instance, the high pen, out of our grain purchased feed, there's 11 pounds of purchased feed going into a ration with a group of cows milking 80 pounds. You can see the tank. So we also feed whey. When we get into milk marketing a little later, the milk truck takes a load of milk to Manhattan, and his return trip, he brings our own whey back to us, which we refeed. That's going in at about 1.5 gallons per cow. The roasted soy is about 3 pounds of our own, somewhere between 2 and 3 pounds, and then the only other thing we purchase is a 37% protein mix. Tillage-wise, it's either minimum till or no till, but we do have heavy clay, and so incorporating manure is something that we do, and we can leave a mark if it's a wet fall. So, tillage is something that's necessary at times, but we prefer minimum till or no till. We do incorporate all our manure because of where we live and odor, and I've always had the attitude, if you can smell it, I'm losing money. So we're trying to recoup that nitrogen, and my goal is to make sure that topsoil stays exactly where I left it I don't want it downstream. So every acre, we try to have something growing on it all the time. So any acre that's harvested for silage is cover cropped. And, you know, we usually grow our own cover crop, but that's, I guess that's kind of the way the farming is. And when Dad was introducing us, one of the things that maybe makes us a little unique is Alan manages the herd, and I don't step on him. And I manage the crops, and we all have our own corner in the world, and we meet back and talk about it and discuss where we need to be, you know, in the big picture. So at this point, I guess I would turn it back to Alan here. Oh, well, yeah, I've skipped a couple of things. All of our feed, we've run a defacer, I think, for almost 15 years. Kernel processor since they came out with them. So, you know, I like to kind of jump on the new things and technology when it's beneficial.
And when we can afford it.
Yeah, and when Alan can let me. I'm in charge of procurement. He's in charge of revenue recovery.
Okay, so we currently milk in a double 15 herringbone parlor. Before that, we had a surge autoflow parlor with 6 stalls, and the jerseys were too smart for it. They didn't flow quite the way they were supposed to. They want to stop and smell the roses along the way. So we put in a double 15 herringbone that fit in the same shell. We equipped it with the AFI system, which is a blessing for me because I can. It's got the heat detection with it. It's got milk monitoring, so we're measuring milk, all 3 milkins every day. I got the heat detection, so even when I'm here in Madison, I can get the reports back home as to who's in heat and tell them who to breed them to and that kind of stuff. As I said, we milk 3 times a day. It's about 5 hours to a shift. They'll put, when they're going well, they'll put 120 cows an hour through there. When things get slowed up and they get distracted, they slow down. The more cows they have to milk, the faster they do it. As I said, 3 times a day. Our rolling herd averages over 21,000 pounds of milk. The DHI-R average, as you saw earlier, was at 19.5. That's the ME average, but the rolling average is over 21,000 milk, 1,000 pounds of fat. Tank average is usually running around the 65, 66 pound mark. Sherry got a group of cows here that we're coming through the parlor. As I said, the AFI system is I wouldn't want to milk a large herd without it. It's just too much management ability that you would lose if you didn't have the milk monitoring and the heat detection. Cows are grouped. We've got, I think, 7 different groups. The maximum we could fit in any one group is about 105 cows because we can fit 30 cows in the parlor and then 75 in the holding area. So any groups larger than that create a problem. We got to get cows in before the cows can start going back. Our history ever since we started has been just keep adding on and adding on and adding on, and we make do with what we can get through and what the budget will afford. Since this is still going through here, one of the questions are breeding objectives. We try to breed for a balanced cow, focus very heavily on shallow udders, good udders. With the current indexes, we try to use Jersey udder index of 4 or higher. With plus production, also trying to focus on keeping the component levels up. I tend not to use bulls that are large milk, low components. I prefer the higher component bulls lately. Again, with functional type, everybody who visits our herd tends to think that our cows are fairly strong with a lot of capacity, and that's what we're striving for. Move into genetics a little bit, as I just started to lead into that. The polled started with actually my grandfather back in the 50s. After a long day of dehorning a whole bunch of cattle that I think he'd purchased or something like that, he decided there had to be a better way, and he went and found some polled females in Tennessee, and that was at Fairweather Farm. And the polled factor is kind of filtered through over the years. We've always had polled females. Currently, probably only 10 to 15% of the herd is polled. It's been a challenge over the years. We haven't been willing to sacrifice genetics and type and overall production just to get the polled factor. But when we can, we've tried to keep enough of it into the breeding program so that we had some good polled females and put a lot of polled bulls into the different AI studs. That was a group of Imagination P daughters that you just saw right there. Cow that really had the most impact and polled in our herd is this Canfield Observer Mischief. This picture is about 1981. She was one of our first 20,000-pound cows back then, and started a great cow family for us. This cow here is Lester Mischief. She had sons went to AI, bred a choice, bred a option, direct deposit. You can find Choice P in a lot of the polled pedigrees around the country. But she was a couple generations removed from the original cow. This would be a sister to Mischief by Sandy Joe. This is Sandy Joe Mistress. She was another great milk cow we had at the time, real powerful cow. Her daughter was one that we sold. This would be Dutch Hollow Barbara Milady, who went to Denkel Jerseys. She had a son, Mygent P, who went into AI. And the current bull, some of you might know, Critic P, was actually out of a Mygent cow. So Critic P is one of the top polled sires of today, and goes back to the Mischief cow family. This would be Dutch Hollow Beretta Masquerade, full sister to Beretta Choice. One of my favorite pictures of all time. Cow had a tremendous ability to give milk. She had 5 or 6 sons went into AI, various studs, many of them at Taurus. This would be Daughter of Masquerade by Golden Boy, 93-point cow. Golden Mirage, she has a son by Valentino, currently at CMEX, Vintage P. And then she has a daughter. Should be coming right up here. This is her Gannon daughter, polled Gannon daughter, 4th generation excellent. Cow that we're currently working with a fair amount today, propagating that polled factor. This would be Zick Medley, another one out of the cow family, by the Danish bull Q Zick. So we got some outcross in there. She is 91 points, and she is the dam of a homozygous polled bull at Select Sires, Motivation PP. And we are also getting a lot more progeny from her currently. Half a dozen calves or so on the ground, born this last summer. This is Ayatollah Melba, another member of the Mischief family. She has a son, Dominic P, coming out from Gen X shortly, I think. Almost a 200 JPI bull. She's also a sister to a calf that we sold in Texas last summer that was the second high of the national heifer sale down in Texas for $24,000, which was quite nice. Again, this is the group of Imagination P daughters that we have in our herd. Imagination P is currently on the CMEX active lineup. Now, another branch of the Mischief family that did very well, the Lester Mischief cow, when she was a baby calf, was born polled. She had an ET sister that was born horned, that we happened to put in the national, and one of the, national heifer sale, one of the sales back then. She left, and a couple generations later, we bought back heifer in the national heifer sale in Vermont from the same family, and that has led into the Charity family. This is Louie Charity herself right here, one of the best milk cows we ever had in the barn. She was a former #1 JPI cow in the breed. We did some extensive flushing with her. This is one of her older daughters, the Renegade daughter that we just recently pictured this last summer. High index cow up on the genomic list. She has a calf that's going to be going in the pot of gold sale this fall in November. This would be Jackson Charity, would be a sister to Louie Charity. Also put a couple bulls into AI. This family, branch of the Mischief family, not polled, but very high genetics as well. This is a Valentino daughter, be another sister to Louie Charity. Their mother was a gold medal cow. Gold medal was a full brother to Barbara Mirage, which doubles up on the charity on the Mischief family. That Valentino daughter there has a Dominican daughter going to be selling in Louisville this fall as well. That's one of our cover girls, a cow we're quite proud of right now. Just recently scored excellent second calf Valentino. You can see her big picture down by the Jersey booth. She's milked up over 100 pounds a day with her second lactation. She actually calved in at 2.8 on her second lactation, been up over 100 pounds a day. We're currently doing a fair amount of flushing with her as well. Some old greats of the past. This is Brian's first 4-H cow, or 4-H heifer. He brought her to Louisville as a calf, his first opportunity to show in Louisville. An old polled Crown Royal daughter. Started a large cow family at Dutch Hollow with a lot of polled females and a 200,000 pound cow. We've had a long history of cows that we've been able to keep around long enough to get them up over that 200,000 pound mark. This cow here, Cherished Legend Rose, a cow that we purchased, my grandfather purchased. She was the winner of the 2002 Lifetime Production Contest for AJCA. I think it was about 260,000. This cow here, LF Joy or Lee, was the first one bred and owned by my grandmother Fish, would be on my mom's side. They were Guernsey and Holstein breeders that we converted to Jerseys, and she started a wonderful family for us, the Lee family. She herself made up over 200,000 and had 3 daughters that also made over 200,000. Lester Emmy Lee, the brass daughter previous. We flushed her once, got 3 Lester calves, and my grandmother saw fit to give one to all 3 girls that were on the farm at the time and named them after each girl. We had Emmy Lee, Cassie Lee, and Megan Lee. This is a Paramount daughter that had sons went into AI. This is a Legion daughter from that same family. Photo taken in Louisville. She was, I believe, 5th in the milk and yearling class in Louisville. Another 200,000 pound cow purchased in the Ogston dispersal. This is SC Millie, cow we purchased in the first Cedar Crest farm sale. A Centurion daughter, went on to score excellent 93 and was our first 30,000 pound cow. She made over 30,000 in 305 days. This is her daughter by Jace. Jace Melinda, excellent 92. She was one of the finalists in Select Sire's Great Cow Contest for Jace daughters a number of years ago. Many sons went into AI as well. This is her Abe daughter. This is a Javon daughter out of that Jace Melinda, a cow that we're currently working with now. She's excellent 92, made some good records. We're currently working with her. This is Classic Diva, another cow currently still in the herd and over 200,000 pounds of milk. Her Rebel daughter here, Rebel Diva, has sons, Dutch Hollow Lexicon, currently active at Gen X, along with her other son, Dutch Hollow Dynamo at Gen X. This is Cassie's cow.
All right, so this is my foundation cow that my parents purchased for me. She also is a 200,000 pound cow, and she was excellent 91 as well. And she placed in the Lifetime contest 3 years in a row. This is her granddaughter, Belmont Goddess, who was a 91 point cow. I had fun showing her in Louisville. That's her claim to fame. She was also Alta's cover girl. This is a great-granddaughter of Gail, and she is a 91 point cow. This lactation, she had a high day of 142 pounds of milk. She is the highest producing cow we have ever had. She was also the Sunbow Trophy winner at the 2011 All-American Jersey Show. As a junior too, she was the top producing cow in the entire All-American Junior Show.
Cassie's not proud. This is one of the cows that needs a motor. This is one of Maxwell's cow, a Governor daughters, just recently raised at 93. Dutch Hollow Mick Olive is the dam of a popular polled Valentino son at Select Sires, Oliver P. She gets her polled from the Mick bull, who was a Cusick son out of Beretta Masquerade that we use breeding heifers and cows in our own barn. Cow that we still have in the herd and have embryos coming out of her, pregnancies coming out of her yet. Imagination Judy, one of the highest ranking polled cows on the genomic list. Cattle we're also currently flushing and doing some work with, trying to propagate more of the polled.
This leads into some of our marketing thoughts. We became a contract advertiser in the Journal in 1981. We did advertise some before and after that, of course, but my dad started advertising in the Journal when it was first published in October 1953, and was a long-time contract advertiser as well. So it was just a natural for us to follow the tradition that had been set. These are a couple of our more recent ads. The one on the left is advertising the heifer that we sold in Amarillo, Texas. It pictures Melba, who would be a maternal sister to the heifer we sold, and then Medley and Masquerade, who were both members of that particular cow family. The ad in the middle features the junior exhibitors that we provide. We sponsor the Best Female Bred by Exhibitor Award at the All-American Junior Show, and each year we take pride in picturing each one of those class winners, so we recognize them. Plus, off on the left would be some of our New York juniors and our own Dutch Hollow juniors at the junior banquet that's held in Louisville. And the ad on the right will be our upcoming ad promoting our consignments to the All-American and Pot of Gold sales in next month. Those three cows, again, you saw pictures of them earlier. It would be the Valentino Sherry and Cheryl, and Chilena, the Renegade cow out of Louis Charity. So both of our consignments this fall. But we like color. We have found that color in our advertising tends to draw people. We like to take pictures. Pete, you can, if you write it down, people will read it. But if you put it in a picture, they'll stop and look at it a lot quicker. We find that color and pictures add a tremendous amount to our promotion, and when it's all over with, I think we're serious about our advertising and marketing, but a lot of it comes back to just name recognition. And I found this out 10 years ago, or it's been 15 years ago now, I guess, that I traveled to South Africa with a group of representing select sires, and people didn't know who Paul Chittenden was, but they knew who Dutch Hollow Farm was. And it made me come home and realize, it's about name recognition, keeping the name out there. People recognize it, and not necessarily that our cattle have to be any better than anybody else's, but it's marketing, and people are interested in what we have. And I think that's what advertising really is about, and we're very serious about it, and we feel strongly about supporting the Jersey Journal as well. We got this is the heifer we sold in Amarillo, Texas. As you see the picture up there, those of you who were not in Amarillo, here's an opportunity to attend the National Heifer Sale. Was totally a video sale. All the heifers there were heifers in Texas, but none of them at the sale site. So we sat in a banquet room and bid, and each heifer that they sold was on the screen. We're quite proud of the fact that this heifer here, as Alan pointed out, and I just showed you again in our ad, the second highest heifer of the sale at $24,000, and actually the highest price that Dutch Hollow has ever sold an animal for. So we're quite proud of that. I think one of the lessons we took that night was that we found out that probably there will not be many more national heifer sales with live cattle. We found out that we can sell them sitting in a room, sitting around a table, eating snacks or eating cheese snacks or eating dinners or banquets, and watch the heifers in the video. I think it was a great lesson and a pretty good indication of where some of our big sales may go. This business of trucking cattle clear across the country and then turn around and truck them all the way back because one of your neighbors bought your heifer doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think this is something we're gonna see more of. Leading into milk marketing, we are a member of we're co-op members of Agrimark. Agrimark is a Northeast co-op, mainly New England and New York, 1,600 members. We've been members of Agrimark since we started in the business. Probably 95% of our milk is marketed through the co-op itself. Brian mentioned whey. The logo that you see in the middle is Beecher's Handmade Cheese. That says Seattle, Washington. They're a small company that started making cheese in the, what would we call it, Sherry? It's Pike's Place or something in Seattle, but it's the Green Market area of Seattle. They make cheese right there. You can go down and stand there on the side of the street and watch them making the cheese, looking through the window, and buy the cheese in their shop and so on. And the man that owns it made a trip into New York one time and found out that, you know, I could do the same thing here in Manhattan. So he did. 4 years ago, he bought a building and converted it into a cheese plant. So 5 days a week, a tractor trailer heads out of our area and heads to Manhattan at 2 o'clock in the morning. So he gets in and out before the traffic gets busy, unloads right on the side of the street, runs the hose in the side of the building. When he gets done unloading his milk, he loads the way and heads back north. We did that. We developed the market. It's done through Agrimark. As I say, they came to us. They needed to. They have a requirement. They want a 4-1 blend of milk, and they look for their Jersey supply first because it's a little harder to secure than the Holstein milk. So we were about the closest herd to the city. We're 150 miles north of New York City. Tractor trailer can be sitting in Manhattan in 2 hours and a half. So we were just kind of the most natural that could produce the amount of milk they needed. So we brought in some Holstein neighbors, so the two of us make the trailer load of milk 5 days a week, and as I say, it goes down, loads away. When he gets done, brings that back and fills tanks at both our place and the neighbors. So both of us feed whey. Neat thing about these folks, they make a 4-year-old aged cheddar called Flagship. Sherry requested that we bring a half a dozen packages with us. She sampled it in July and thought that was pretty good eating. They have since started making a Monterey Jack type cheese, and that is made strictly from Dutch Hollow's milk, and it's called Dutch Hollow Dulcet. So we're kind of proud that they have taken our farm name and put on one of their products. High Lawn Farm. Many of you Jersey people will recognize that name. They're 30 miles from us. Long time family friends. In the years gone by, we were not only family friends, but traded genetics and that sort of thing, used bulls together. They have a bottling program that has grown to the point that they cannot supply their own milk, their needs. They buy a lot of our milk, and actually probably close to a third of our milk goes to High Lawn Farm, and again, through our Agrimark co-op. The next label down, you'll see Hudson Valley Fresh. That's a group of 9 farmers in the Hudson Valley, all within about 50 or 60 miles of us. We're the farthest one north from the city. All of them are Agrimark members, and decided that maybe there was an opportunity to market local milk, so it's serving the local idea. Sold mostly, actually we're as far north as it's sold there, but a lot of it goes down towards the city, but they sell under the Hudson Valley Fresh label. They own their own, it's a group. We own our own plant. Buy the milk from Agrimark, bottle it, and as I say, a good share of that goes towards the city. On the right-hand side, we have Old Chatham Sheep Herding Company. That's a local company. Milk several hundred sheep. They make a lot of sheep milk yogurt, but they make a Camembert cheese that they use Jersey milk and sheep milk to blend it to make their Camembert. So they buy a couple thousand pounds of milk a week from us to do that. The next one down is Twin Maple Farm, another local group. 3 guys that started it as a hobby, and it's fast grown to be a pretty popular program too. They call it the Creamery at Twin Maple Farm, but they make a product called Hudson Red, which is brie-type cheese, and right now is considered maybe the finest soft wash-rind cheese in the country. Most anybody that likes that type of cheese that has tasted it has said, wow, this is pretty good stuff. They're also making one they call Hudson Gold, which is a aged cheddar curd, an aged cheddar curd. And then they've got a couple others that they're introducing. Our newest client is Berkshire Blue. This is a group just over the state line. As I say, we're only 30 miles from Highland, but we're only 20 miles from the Massachusetts state line. These folks are just over the state line in Massachusetts, have been buying milk from another Jersey herd close by to them, but all of a sudden when that milk was not available to them, they came to see us. So we do market about, each one of those people, those three on the right take about 2,000 pounds, 2,000 to 3,000 pounds a week. Represents probably 5 to 6% of our production. That is not marketed through Agamark, but it may soon be. We've been approached and told us that we were breaching our contract with Agamark, so we have to deal with that when we get back home. Off on the right, you'll see Cabot, the well-known brand. Basically was Vermont brand, and Agamark absorbed the Cabot Co-op many years ago, and now Agamark owns that Cabot label. Also, macadam is another Agamark product. That's mainly a New York cheese, northern New York cheese, but they're strictly Cabot and macadam are Agamark brands. So that's pretty much it. I think these three smaller cheese companies, and we know Hudson Valley Fresh came to see us, they advertise that none of their herds are all low cell count herds. We normally run about 140 to 160,000 cell count. We're marketing about 13 million pounds of milk a year. And we know that that's why these other three companies have come to, the local companies have come to see us, is because of it's a consistent, high quality product. And we're very proud that they identify with us and we identify with them.
My turn. So as he said, we live in the Hudson Valley. Location is everything. We are 2 hours from Manhattan, which sounds wonderful. However, we're an hour from the Culinary Institute of America, and that is where a lot of the food trends are set. That leads us to having a big range of consumers with a lot of ideas. And those ideas are not always the same as ours. And so we have taken Dutch Hollow Farm public. We are on Facebook at 585 likes right now, which is really high for somebody who doesn't go out and promote this regularly. I try to post on Facebook 2 or 3 times a week. We also have a newsletter that we send out. This newsletter is sent out 4 times a year. We send it to 900 households that are within 3 miles of the farm. So we are living in a fishbowl. People drive by all the time. They want to know what we're doing. They're looking at our animals. They can be seen. So through this, we have invited all of them to the farm. We've done an open house 3 times a year, and that's where this takes place. We decided 3 years ago we need to talk to our neighbors because too many of them wanted to tell us how to farm rather than we being able to farm the land that we wanted to. We invite the public in to see the cows. We give them guided farm tours where they have people. Here I'm telling the girls where they're going to go on their tours. And in each barn, there is one person who stays there and gives the same message to every group that comes into that barn. We had 750 people come through there this year, all local. They get to not only go on the farm tour, but we give hay rides. We have every agribusiness that we can get that we work with also come to the farm that day because it's so important. You'll see here in a few minutes the fertilizer truck, the sprayer truck is there because people near us see those and they're scared to death. They don't want anything sprayed. They don't want anything spread So when we have people come, we have them there saying what fertilizer is, what they're doing, what they're spraying, why it's important for the timing of us to get things on the field. We explain every part of the barn about cows sleeping on mattresses. We give them a hands-on area where they can play with the calves, walk up and down the barns, feed the cows, touch anything they want, and they go into the milking parlor as well. But through these, we've built an education building on site. So far this year, I put 800 school children through our site, and I have more to come in the fall yet. So this part is expanding dramatically. It's growing. Every month, I get more and more people calling, anywhere from a Mommy and Me group, which is in Albany, which is just moms with young children wanting to go out and do things, all the way to I have seniors in high schools and college students that come that want to know about GMOs and genomics. I have culinary students come, culinary classes, so that we can teach them how safe and how high quality of milk we produce, why we produce that milk high quality, and what we do with the animals and why they stay inside. It's important for us to explain every aspect of what we do, because they have so many misconceptions out there that they are trying to take away our modern agriculture practices and technologies that we have learned over the years. They think they're wrong, and they work very hard at getting landowners to work against us. One example would be in the Northeast, we can't use BST. We don't use BST because consumers demand there's no BST. So we have lost that technology. Right now, GMOs is the high topic. A lot of landowners are saying things like, you can't use my land if you're going to use GMO products. So somehow we need to get out there and educate them, because if they continue, they're going to dictate to us how we can farm. We have Cabot there, other people that we have, the milk co-op, and they explain to our consumers the safety things that we have to go through, the milk inspections that we go through. Everything on the farm is tested. How many times milk is tested before it reaches consumers? Because where we are, antibiotics in milk is a big topic. They believe organic milk is the only one that doesn't have antibiotics in. So we are trying to educate them that there are no antibiotics in our milk or anybody else's milk, and that it's humane to use antibiotics to give to the calves, to the cows when they are sick. Because just like human beings, everybody gets sick once in a while. And so those are the hot topics and the hot questions that I get on a daily basis. We have a corn bin for the kids to play in. We make it a family outing because we want the people who are buying the groceries to come to the farm. They take the hay rides. We have the vet there around the animals to explain what we do with the animals. Hay maze, where kids run in the hay maze. And it's just a great day for the families to come out. We do this all on our own. In other areas of the state, the Farm Bureau sponsors it. Our county wasn't that lucky, so we decided we need to do this on our own. So just as Dutch Hollow Farm decided, this is important for us, just as important as our breeding and everything, growing crops on our farm, if we're going to remain in business. On that hayride, Paul sits on there and he explains to all the people on the hayride what we do with our crops, what is growing. Most people look at that alfalfa and think it's weeds. They have no idea that you have to till the soil to plant corn. So we are at the pure basics of what we do on this farm every day, teaching consumers. We have solar panels on our roof to heat the hot water, which a lot of people are then happy about. We're doing some green things. We have a map with all of our land that we use, and most of those people can pick out their houses on the map. They know where they live from looking at our map and say, oh yeah, you farm land right next door to us. So it's something they enjoy doing. They can then relate to us, and we have seen a big difference from people being angry if we pull mud out onto the road. Now they just wave to us. If they're following behind us or one of our trucks, they just wave now. They're more patient. We've had a really big change in attitude from the public. It's a family day. They come and eat some ice cream, enjoy the sunshine and the cows, and it's something that they all want to come back to every year. They ask us, when are you having it? So that's why our Facebook continues to grow and our tours that we have on the farm. It is our job to produce a high-quality product, to show them how we produce a high-quality product for all the dairy products that they can purchase. So go ahead, ask us anything. That's one of the signs that we have up around the farm that encourage people. Ask, because if not, they walk away with misconceptions.
And one of the things I might add, you know, this was, as you can see, there's a little bit of passion here for everything we do. Beth is purely the education side of this with that farming background. When she kind of conceived this idea, we all, the rest of the family is like, all right, we'll do this. You know, we'll go along. And my brother's like, what did she get us into now? And the positive thing is in that picture, although you don't know all the family members from the picture, every family member, employees, family, all of the families took part. 4-H kids that are in the Borrowed Calf Project came out and worked. But everybody took part in this. But the big thing is, after that first one, when everybody was dreading as to what my wife got us into, at the end of the day, when the last person went out, you know, the attitude was, wow, this was an incredible experience. And, you know, there are so many comments from our neighbors we've driven by and we always wanted to know. And now they know. And it makes it easier for my trucks hauling manure, going up and down the road, silage trucks. My truck drivers are walking. They want a little more money because they're supposed to wave at every person they meet, and they said that was going to cost me. But it was just, you know, when we went into this, we weren't sure this was, you know, she didn't have the whole family bought in on this. This was really a great idea. And now, you know, it's like next year when we do this, this is what we got to do. So, you know, sometimes you got to go with that uncomfortable thing and just kind of ride it out to see where it goes, and it really turned out to be something very positive. So I saw a hand up.
Do you have to get any clearance from your local zoning board to do the agritourism thing?
Repeat the question.
Did we have to get any clearance from our local town for a town ordinance or town board to host this? So part of our community outreach is I'm on the town board. So I'll state that first. And in our town, the ordinance is, as far as zoning goes, pretty much, I know in the next town up, we have to have a mass gathering permit in the next town. But in our particular town, no. You are allowed to have a retail or a roadside or anything like that. That's specifically to our town, where if we have an event associated with agriculture on ag zone land and all that, it is perfectly acceptable within our town. May not be in all.
Are you afraid of contamination when you let all those people touch your calves and your cows and everything? I guess that.
Are we afraid of contamination by letting the outsiders in? I guess I can answer it. I mean, I look at some of it, you know, life is full of risk. The fact that they're not from other farms. There's a very small percentage of them that are actually coming from any other farm. And I guess I would have more of a concern with the starlings flying from barn to barn in the winter. Just to put it in perspective, than I do with somebody. We try to have hand wash stations. That is something that is on our mind when people leave our farm. So maybe you didn't see in the video, but we have hand wash stations all over the place, you know, on the barn walls and places that we put up, and then on tables. And by where they eat, we've also got hand wash stations where they can sanitize their hands before they try to touch. I'm more concerned with contaminating them with something than them with us. Any other questions? Go ahead, ask us anything.
On the dehorning, with the paste, you do that at a really young age. Do you find that if you go later, it just doesn't work as well?
Using the paste for dehorning, the question was whether we use it when they're young or if we use it when they get older.
What we found there is that the calves, that first 24 hours are just very quiet. They sleep. They don't do much. So when they get older, if you try to do it older and they're moving around, they're rubbing their head on the sides, and then things are if they move that paste and they get a little on their ear, you can see a spot on their ear when the time comes, or worrying about people feeding calves, maybe getting it on them or something like that. So that's why we do it early. If we slip and somebody doesn't get it on there early, then we'll wait and we'll just dehorn them differently later.
I think one of the things, the neat thing about touring other farms when we were in Amarillo, we had been using the paste, but not as effectively as we are now. When we went to, what's the name of the calf ranch? It's Exum. Well, anyway, C.A. Russell's calf ranch. C.A. and Brett Barlis both told me about how they were dehorning. They were using this paste, and Brett was talking about putting it on at 8 o'clock in the morning, and when they go back through at noon, they wiped it back off. So we did change the procedure just a little bit. When I got back, when we got back home from Texas, I told Nathan. Nathan is the son that's not here, but he's the one that oversees the younger cattle. I told him what those guys had said, and if I had suggested it, it wouldn't have worked. But the fact that I came back from Texas and told him that CA and Brett were doing it, that was good enough. So that's where we did change our procedure just a little bit. Us old guys, we don't know as much as the younger guys. Some of you know that, right? So yeah, that was where we really did change our procedure and taking it off.
How long do you leave it on?
Where are you leaving on? 4 to 6
6
hours?
Yeah.
Do you have any trouble finding the horn at that young age?
Well, he's got the surgical blades on the little handheld rechargeable clippers, so you can feel it.
Yeah, one thing about breeding pole cattle, and Alan mentioned his grandfather. My dad put in the first milking parlor. He was a little like Brian. He was pretty progressive. He liked to try all this new technology. He put his first milking parlor in 1952. And we were milking 150 cows in those days, which was quite a few cows for 1950, or the early 50s. And the barn was designed, they were tie-stall barn or stanchion barn, and we let them out in groups of 8 or 10, and they stood in a chute on their way into the parlor, and my dad saw these cows doing this as they were standing in the chute, and he says, we got to do something about those horns. So he bought a set of Keystone dehorners, and if you're familiar with them, they're about a 3-foot long handle, and they dehorned 150 cows in 3 days. It looked like a bloodbath in the barn, and I'm sure PETA and HSUS wouldn't have been too favorable, but that's 70 years ago. So we have been breeding pole cattle ever since. Dad found an ad in the Jersey Bulletin, probably, maybe Jersey Journal, for some polled heifers in Tennessee. Went down, bought the heifers, and bought a pole bull, and that's where we started in the pole business. But with polled cattle, those of you who are not experienced with polled, you can feel the horn button on a calf when he hits the ground. If you rub your fingers, take your index finger and your thumb, you can feel those horn buttons when they hit the ground. So we normally know when the polled ones are born while they're still wet. So.
But if you do use those blades and just cut the area, you can get the paste right where you want it, and it's much more effective than trying to leave the hair on.
Size of a nickel?
Yep.
Any other questions?
I always get asked, what do you do with your old cows and your bull calves, especially having jerseys?
You want me to send?
What's your answer?
They go to market. They go to market once a week. The end of their life, we try to make it as pleasant as possible for them, but they can't live forever. And we can't bury them here on the farm, so I basically say they go to market. And they can use their imagination from there.
Do you have statistics on by using the whey, how much, and do you have a value of that whey when you're getting it from your customer, the cheese manufacturer?
It is to no cost to us. And repeat the question was, what was the value of whey, and do we have any statistics about using the whey? It does not cost us anything to bring the whey back and get the whey. It's actually a savings for them that we take it away. But we figured we gain about 2 pounds to 3 pounds of milk by putting it into the diet.
Yeah.
So it goes to every animal that's over 6 months of age on the farm, including heifers. We top dress it on our mixer wagon every morning and stir it in, and the cows have, if it's not on there, they're not happy.
Yeah, during Superstorm Sandy, of course, you know, New York City was shut down, so they stopped receiving milk. And you could just flip a switch, you know, when we ran out of whey and when we went right back into it, it was 2 pounds per cow, just like flipping a light switch on and off. You know, it was just that quick.
What's your yearly culling percentage, would you say?
What's our yearly culling percentage?
24, if the DHI says 24%, which is higher than what I like. Number one reason is cows that happen to blow up with mastitis. Number two reason is feet and leg trouble. I'm not entirely happy with cows being on concrete all the time. I think that does affect feet and legs. We trim regularly, but still we do have some issues there. But we deal with it. So 24%.
Warts? Any problem with warts?
No, we have a few. We run a foot bath 3 times a week, 3 days a week, and warts are really not an issue. We have more trouble with heel abscesses, and they're just much harder to clear up.
And we have learned we need to retrofit the barn with more rubber. More rubber is better. And we started early with rubber, so what we are using for rubber is a real hard surface, and we're beginning to learn that there's a big difference in the rubber that we're putting on the floor between a soft surface and maybe some of the old mining belts that, you know, that we used to get in the beginning. So we are learning that, you know, there's a difference in compounds now. It's just as we keep learning, we keep changing and trying to make things better.
We have time for one more question.
Just a comment, your jerseys sure have a straight back line.
Photoshop.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. But we'll be here afterwards. If anybody wants to come and ask us anything specific, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the Chittenans will be here, and you're more than welcome to stay in the room for a little bit and visit with them. We really do appreciate you folks joining us today. If you'd like extra copies of the farm brochure, they're on the way out. The white jerseys, our compliments also. Thank you so much for coming, and please, let's give them a big round of applause.